Welcome back for game 2 of G2 versus SKT. If you're joining us on the YouTubes, then unfortunately you're missing the wondrous live experience that is, of course, the Twitch chat, where they ask thought-provoking questions such as, why do we cook bacon? And why do we bake cookies? Things that keep you up at night. Well, for you to be involved in those, you should head over to twitch.tv/Vedius Official to be a part of this enlightening and thought-provoking community. In any case, let's jump straight into the draft, and then we'll be getting into the replay client of the game of G2 versus SKT. So, G2, they ban these things. I know, you're already learning so much. So they ban away Elise, which I find kind of weird. I think the reason why they ban Elise is because they don't want to first pick Renekton. They don't like it. We talked about this in game 1. This champion, no. G2, sad face. They don't want to play. Actually, angry face. Angry face. They don't want to play it, right? So they're banning Elise because they want to first pick this bad boy, or I don't know, one of these two anyway. But they don't want to give away Renekton Elise, right? So they don't want to give that one away. They also ban away Akali because they don't want to first pick that, which I think is a little surprising. I think they should put a little bit more priority on it, but maybe they're thinking we don't like playing Akali into Renekton or something. They also ban away Kai'Sa. Now, this surprises me. This one surprised me. Because... see, my question is, why don't they just ban Renekton? Maybe they're happy to play into it? Maybe? I mean, G2... well, I mean, we know they're happy to play into it because they have an answer to it. But, like, maybe Gragas would have been a better ban here. I mean, I only know because I know that they go for Gragas here. But, like, Gragas is a really strong jungler and they give it away for free. The SKT bans are not surprising. These are pretty standard. And this probably wasn't on their ban list initially, but it came out as one the moment... oh, okay, so here's my thought process. G2 banned Kai'Sa, so SKT is forced to ban... okay, here's my thought process. So, because G2 banned this, SKT originally probably wanted to ban Ryze. Right? This is probably what they wanted to get rid of. But by banning the Kai'Sa, if you ban Ryze, they first pick Xayah. And they can't answer, SKT cannot answer with the Kai'Sa. Therefore, SKT banned the Xayah, which means that the Ryze can be first picked. So from G2's perspective, they're like, we're either getting Ryze or we're getting Xayah. One of these two. SKT, you get to choose which one we get. And obviously they choose to give them the Ryze. So I think that's the logic in the Kai'Sa ban. Yeah. So obviously they first pick the Ryze. Renekton and Gragas come through. Let's get through this. So at this point in the draft, you have to bear in mind that Gragas can be flexed to here and here. Renekton can also be flexed to here and here. Okay? Just bear those things in mind. So G2, because obviously both AD carries have been banned, they go for the Ornn as a means to deal with the Renekton. But they're also fine with this, because they're thinking even if they flex this down to here, right? This is safe enough that it can play pretty much 1v1 against anything. Except unless they go against a Fiora or some shit. Pardon me. But even if they go against a Fiora, this is like really good engage. So G2's thinking, haha, we're pretty happy with this. The pick that I don't like is what comes next with the Ez. Because I think the logic here is that they believe this is pretty safe. And it can be picked into pretty much anything. But it also takes it away from Teddy. So they're like, well, Teddy's got no AD carries left. We're fine. And then SKT lock in Yasuo. Which I think pretty much counters this. Which means G2 can't engage ever. Now, of course, the Yasuo and the Gragas can also be flexed pretty much wherever they want. Yep. They can stay mid lane if they want to. I mean, I don't think Rise is a... sorry, I don't think Yasuo's a great matchup into Rise. But so my problem with the Ornn priority is that I think the Rise can also be flexed into here. Yeah, but I guess they're fine flexing either one of these into this. But I just feel like locking in your solo laners this early is not good. I'm not a fan. Because it gives SKT too much information. They have like so much freedom with their comp right now that they can pretty much go wherever they want. You know, they can flex this down to bot lane if they want. They can keep it in mid jungle. They can ban away more junglers. I mean, we already see the Olaf ban come through. So they ban Syndra because they're assuming this is going bot lane. Do they ban Cassio as well? I can't remember. These guys should ban either Lee or Rek'Sai. Yeah. And the reason why I think they ban Rek'Sai is because they don't think this guy plays Lee. Or he doesn't want to anyway. One or the other. I can't remember what G2 ban here. Oh, Kale. I actually think Kale's a pretty good ban. So then SKT obviously go for the Lee, just in case. Yeah, that's the other reason why they could have banned Rek'Sai. They want Lee Sin themselves, and this is one of the good picks into it. So now you know that Lee is going jungle, and you know that Gragas is going support. The problem is you still don't know if this is going here or not. You can assume that it is, and it's a pretty safe assumption, but there's no guarantee. Gragas support can still work. I can't decide if I like this draft or not. I'm kind of leaning more towards I don't like it. Okay, so this has prio in this lane. This has prio in this lane. Early on now, we're talking like pre-15. Okay, who has push, right? So push, push, push. Okay. So I mean, I know what happens in the game in terms of early, and I know what goes wrong, but I think that you're always going to have an advantage in the early game when you have two winning solo lanes, because this gives your jungler so much freedom. And this duo is like really strong, especially early. Jarvan is good at setting up ganks, but the actual skirmishing power of these two is way stronger than that of these two, especially early game. Which means that it's very difficult for this guy to roam ever. And I think this guy outscales, and I think he outscales everything on a side lane. The only advantage is G2 wins team fights, but then I also think his wind wall and his disengage and the mobility also make it really difficult for this team comp to engage. Sure, I think you have poke, but I think this guy's quite short range. I think it's not a massive problem because like this is about diving, this is about diving, but I also think about how much zone control a Renekton can bring to zone these guys away, how much mobility exists on the LeBlanc and the Lee Sin, the fact that he has an ultimate, the fact that he has a wind wall. I think not only do they scale better, they have two pushing winning lanes. And I also think that it's really difficult for this team to team fight, which is pretty much their main win condition. Which means they kind of have to find a big advantage early, which is really hard. So I'm really not a fan of this comp, I think. I don't think I like it. Doesn't the Ornn item offset Yasuo scaling? I mean, yes. Well, I mean, like, if SKT have a goal difference, like, it compensates for some of the goal difference for sure. It gives you bonus stats, but I just think as a champion, I could see, like, a Ryze at 6 items versus a Yasuo at 6 items. Sure, I could see that being, like, I could see that being Ryze favored, potentially. I could see it. And I could also see, like, if the Ezreal is 6 items, like, it's really difficult to, like, his poke is really strong, and, like, these guys don't have any engage. And admittedly, the Baron, the ability for this team to do Baron is not super strong. If they get lucky and they get double mountains, so, like, by no means is this comp, like, flawless. I guess just the way that I look at it is, because you have so much more agency in the early game, it's a lot easier for this team to build advantages, mainly because of this duo. And I think G2's only way to gain advantages early is to try and shut this duo down. And I ultimately think that when this team wants to fight, which is probably in the mid game, I think that their item spikes will be stronger before the Ornn items come through. And I think that it's hard for this team to also engage anyway, just because of the champions that SKT is running. So I ultimately think that, like, sure, if you get to like 35, 40 minutes, then I could see this team winning team fights. Sure, I could see that. That's not unreasonable. But I think it's very difficult for them to get to that point. I think they have to play very well. Because I think SKT have way more early game agency. Isn't Lee, Gragas plus Yasuo combo pretty good? I mean, yes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Because you make a good point. Like, this ultimate just goes in there, and then this guy just ults. Sure. That's fair. I don't think of Lee Sin as an engage, you know? Like, sure, like, good Lee Sin players, if they can land a very good kick, like, yeah, I can see it. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking that this is an engage. I think, like, he has abilities to like, make plays, but Clid Lee is an engage? That's fair. Isn't it really difficult for SKT to gain an advantage, though? No, but I think because they have... I think, like, it's very easy to gain prio in this lane. I guess the counter argument is, like, are you going to dive an Ornn? Well, you probably don't want to dive an Ornn. Can you really kill Caps in mid lane? Yeah, I definitely think you can kill Caps in mid lane, but if you assume that he just sits under his tower all game and just plays super defensive, can you then dive this bot lane with this? Pre-6? Probably not. So, on the one hand, yes, maybe this does have push, and yes, maybe this does have push, but how do they actually use it, and where do they actually use it? Who would you have preferred of the Ezreal pick? I don't know. I guess my issue was the early Ornn priority. I don't think they needed to pick it super early. I don't know. I'm not a draft expert. I'm mainly just like thinking about these things that I'm trying to learn. But this one's quite interesting because like Twitch chat makes some compelling points. Yeah, I'm not so certain on this one. I guess like maybe I'm looking too much at the matchups, but I'm thinking about like late game fights or like mid game fights even. And I'm just thinking like, surely these mid game fights are just easier to play. Are they not? Like this just feels easier to play to me. And you could be like, yeah, but this guy just ults, and then this guy EQs, and then this guy ults as well. But I'm like, yeah, but then this wind wall, this Gragas barrel, this kick. Imagine Jarvan EQs in, and then he just immediately gets kicked back out again. Or he EQs in, this guy ward hops out, this guy dashes out, this guy dashes out, this guy dashes out. This guy could also dash out in theory. Or this guy EQs in, he wind walls, and now he's 1v1ing the Jarvan. Like, okay, then Galio comes in from behind on top of this. You know, it doesn't change the fact that all of these can also just run away, and then they can re-engage once all the engage is down. And then there's a fucking wind wall that they somehow have to get around. So that's why I'm kind of like, nah. I don't know. I don't know. To me, it's not like super obvious. But that's also the point of these VOD reviews, to think about these things and try and learn about them. What do you guys think? What does Twitch chat think? What do you guys think? Which comp do you prefer? Do you prefer G2? Do you prefer G2's comp, or do you prefer SKT's comp? You prefer G2's comp? Some of you prefer SKT. Well, a lot of you prefer SKTs. A lot of you prefer SKTs. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm more inclined to be like, I think this is the slightly stronger comp. Anyway, let's watch. Let's see if we can learn anything. Oh yeah, well, I'm like a fool. I'm watching the VOD when I don't need to do that, because we of course have we have the game. So let's go. Right, 8 times speed is a little too quick. Let's slow down. Let's slow down. So in terms of early clear, Cleared could do bot side camps into red into top gank. He could also look for a mid lane gank. He could do a full top side clear, but that's a little weird for Lee Sin because it's super slow. Jarvan will probably do red into top side clear. I like this deep ward from Khan just here. This is good. Oh right, they go for the invade, which is really awful. So, what G2 tried to do is they tried to split the map to deny this bot lane from getting any resources. So, by forcing Lee Sin to play through topside, Ornn is fine playing weak side of the map because he's like, Renekton can't kill me, and I'm going to lose this matchup anyway, at least in early levels, so it's fine. They can't dive me, you know? So, by splitting the map, the idea is that you isolate this lane, and you can then set up a dive, exactly like they did versus Damwon. The problem is, they walk straight over this ward, so there's full information, and then Lee Sin is able to flank, along with the LeBlanc, who, notice the path thing, also initially comes into lane, but also then moves first. So while this actually looks quite good initially for G2, the inherent problem is that they have a numbers disadvantage. So they're like, okay, this is fine, we're good, and then the Gragas comes. So taunt, Aftershock is gone. So he dies. The problem is, of course, Yankus then also dies, and there's no way he's getting out of this. Because even if he flashes, he's just flashing into Faker, so his next best bet is to go for this. And he almost gets out, but Faker. So the problem with this whole play is it puts Yankus massively behind. Like, really far behind. Like, sure, G2 get first blood, but it doesn't matter. Because Clid already starts to go through his jungle clear. You also don't isolate the bot lane matchup. So you can't set up a dive like you did against Damwon because your jungler is behind. So this level 1, very, 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 very bad for G2. Very bad. Meanwhile in mid lane, I quite like this level 2 gank. I like this a lot actually. Because Faker doesn't have flash. So by trying to force the flash out from caps, you now guarantee pressure in this 1v1. So it was like a necessity because Faker burnt both his summoner spells and getting first blood. if Clid hadn't come, Caps would actually have a lot more pressure in this mid lane matchup. So now the fact that he's lost his flash means that he's in a much better position. Because can you see how this wave is stacking up? What they would have loved to do is set up this dive bot lane with this wave. So before they hit level 2, these guys are already like threatening to dive them. And with Galio Jarvan, it should be possible. I think Ez's early game damage isn't that terrible either. But of course, they don't get it. The thing that confused me was like Jarvan comes and then he just sits here. But the advantage that the Lee Sin has as well is he knows that Jarvan's clear is slower. He has push in top. He has push in mid. This invade is very safe. Meanwhile, Jarvan's just wasting his time looking at bot lane. Yep. Pretty bad early game from G2 overall. We're 4 minutes in and already everything has gone to disaster. Pretty good trade. I like when Khan does this. He uses his pressure to just actually get deep wards in rather than just like ward randomly here. And notice that the Gromp still hasn't been taken. So all Jarvan has done so far is red, Raptors, and Krugs. He's been 3-buffed, and these two camps haven't even been cleared yet. Jankos is hilariously far behind. He's hilariously far behind. I think Caps just wanted to see if the blue had been taken or not. And the bot lane is did not get dived. So SKT is pretty happy with how the early game's going so far. Mickey doing his very standard level 4 roam. Helping get some vision. They can't go for early Drake. They definitely can't go for an early Drake. And now Jankos gets to catch up a little bit because he then clears out the Raptors. So he's like, oh, okay, it's not all doomed. I think Perks and Mickey are playing the 2v2 pretty well. Caps goes for an early base, uses TPO. Let's fake a look for a roam now. Oh, okay. Let's have a look at what the bot lane does here. So they move slightly up into the river. But of course, remember that from SKT's perspective, they had vision up here, but the Ez could have moved through there. So they're cautious. They're aware that people could be there. And they look, the ping. They're like, they could be in here. They could be in here. I want to... But look, he's thinking, I can see. It's empty. We're fine to push. Uh-oh, they're still in. That was pretty cool. Let's switch over to G2's vision. They just sit outside of vision range of the Gragas barrel. So these guys get lured into a false sense of security. And then they die. They don't have any CC left to keep chasing, so he just gets to walk away. Mickey 5-head. Interesting that SKT get to do Baron here. I think the main reason is because Khan has moved down. Well, that sucks. So why does SKT get Drake here? So in theory, SKT don't get Drake here because G2 have a numbers advantage. However, G2 have set up a bit of a freeze in the bot lane, which is fine. But Perks doesn't have that much HP, and they also want to keep the wave in this state, which means if they move up, then they're going to lose this wave state, which they don't want to do. On top of that, Perks doesn't have the push in mid yet, and they haven't actually noted, at least on the minimap, that Khan is missing, but they probably communicated that Khan is missing, which means that it would be dangerous because their current map state would actually not give them an advantage. Did I say Perks in mid? I meant Caps. I meant Caps in mid, sorry. So they know, they're aware, they have the control ward in. I wonder if... I mean, I really think Caps should have just flashed. But like this to me suggests that he didn't actually expect Renekton. Mickey is in the chat, so maybe Mickey can confirm for me. Did you guys know that Renekton was missing, Mickey? Did you know? Because like the moment you see this, I would have flashed. I would have been like, I'm gonna die. Even if he's still rooted, if I'm here, I have much better odds of getting out. Now we knew? Okay, then Caps is just trolling. And then you stole a Drake. I mean, the reason why they get away with this Drake steal is because there's 2 in mid lane. So they get forced back, because again, numbers disadvantage. Does he have F if you click on him? Yeah, he does. Right there. Unlucky. Okay. So let's take a second to think about like what next steps are right now. Even though G2 have the gold advantage, I'd still say that the map is not quite as even as that suggests. Wonder still can't really gain prio in this lane because Renekton is much stronger than he is early. LeBlanc now has 1 kill and Lost Chapter, which makes things really hard for Ryze in the mid lane. He also has a level advantage. And the bot lane is actually very even. Even though they're behind in gold, and like Perks is generating a lot of gold, like you can see 800 gold gap. Like the fact that Yasuo is not being punished that severely is fine for SKT. So like SKT feels super comfortable right now. They're very happy. So what do they want to do next? Well, they probably want to keep farming. They could consider looking for a bot lane play if you're SKT, but I don't think you need to force it. I think you can't really look to dive top. But I think so far, the 2 kills that SKT have found, they shouldn't really have found. You know? I think it was more bad play from G2 than actually good play from SKT. Mickey roaming, unsurprisingly. Trying to babysit his mid laner. So they go for a roam top. Okay, so they do look for a roam top. I think this is fine. I think it's a little difficult to dive the Ornn, but they definitely thought about it. And Ryze uses this window to look for a roam bot, but he can't because he gets spotted out. Okay, so Herald would in theory be the next best play. I think G2 could consider swapping. Because Wonder's like in a pretty healthy position. And if you put Khan into this lane matchup, then like it's not going to be great for him. The problem that G2 might face is that you can leave Teddy isolated in a 1v1 against Wonder. Of course, Wonder's level 8, so he can kill him. But because of the wind wall, it becomes a little bit harder. So if Yasuo just gets to free 1v1 against Wonder, maybe they don't like that and they want to keep the pressure on him. But I think they could consider swapping. I guess the biggest problem they have is that Faker also guarantees mid prio, which means that even if they make the swap and they come here, Faker comes first. Which means that securing a Herald is not as easy as they think. So maybe swapping isn't the best. I mean, I think it's super hard for G2 to do anything. The fuck? Okay, so he checks, which is fine. Why won't G2 play his flash? Just flash that. Flash it. If I had enough time to press P in between Faker pressing E now and it being here, Jankos had enough time to press flash. I could have pressed flash. He thought I was in Galio ult range? Oh. So it's Mickey's fault. It's actually Mickey's fault. It all comes full circle, guys. It all comes full circle. At the end of the day, it's always Mickey's fault. Classic Mickey. Classic. Yeah, he was running away. Yeah. You can see him. He's like, I'm coming! I'm coming! I will save you! He's dead. So they have information here. Bear in mind, in this situation, Faker's used Flash, and that's it. So Caps gets rooted up, and he can't join. Oh my god, he just gets obliterated. Let's watch Perks. Let's watch Perks. So they have vision on. Oh, Perks, no. Oh no. I didn't see the E. Oh, no, no, no. You can't do that. Oh. Alright, well, I'll tell you what. G2 are really running it down in this early game. They're like really running it down. This is quite funny. So that of course means that Teddy gets more plates. He's still behind because of Kleptomancy, but I mean, like, I thought that SKT, the fact that they had pressure early would be really good for them, but I honestly just think that G2 definitely, they made quite a few individual errors in this series of plays. You can see that things are getting better for Wonder now that he has Iceborne Gauntlet. Pardon me. So this is what you'll see Faker do a lot, because of course he gets smooth first, so they set up for Drake. Oh, and then we get to see it. Boom! Very nice. Let's have a look. Let's track the vision that Clid has. So this is what he sees. So he sees Perks. Nice. Very good. He did miss the Q though, but I blame effort for that, not him. Alright, so now they just set up for Drake. They found a lot of good early picks. The Yasuo gets more gold. G2's really running it down, so. Okay. So let's go back to full vision. Why the fuck is... What? Alright. So Perks looks to roam. Wait. So they don't see him. No, they don't see him. They have no idea. They think that he's around, and that's why Khan's backing off, because he's like, I might get dived. And they're like, okay, he hasn't shown up. And they're like... Okay, he's taking my rafters. Like, Caps' brain is just so big, the galaxy cannot even comprehend how large it is. I mean, like, it's so completely unreasonable for him to be here. It's just weird. Alright, Mickey. Damn, son. G2 players are taking it in turn. Are taking turns to And the problem here is, like, he should be aware that there's only Yasuo in the bot lane. He should respect... I mean, I think he's looking at Faker and he's like, Faker has 190... He's got no mana. I'm fine. But 120 mana, 70 mana. He has just enough to W and E. But I guess Mickey's thinking it's fine. I'll taunt him, knock him up. Perks will kill him. And the jungler's dead. So I guess Mickey's just thinking to himself he's fine in this position. What's the worst that could happen? That was such a good W from Faker. And then Effort just manages to get the barrel. I mean, like, that was a well-executed play from SKT. But I think, you know, Mickey could have avoided the whole thing. So they move Caps up to top. Yasuo gets the first tower gold. And now he's actually ahead in gold. So Teddy's only going to keep getting stronger. G2 will be able to trade it on the top side of the map. Or SKT get Drake. So Khan can't really generate pressure against Wonder anymore. He's too strong. Wait, why did he run out? Oh, I guess because he gets spotted on a ward and he thinks he's getting collapsed on. That's a bit weird. Also, they're just completely conceding top. I mean, I don't think that there's much that he can do in a 2v1. He can definitely get dived by this. I guess he's the jungler now. He literally just took 3 of Jankos' camps. Oh, I see. So I think Caps is actually roaming down to be able to trade top tower for bot. And they want to dive. But of course he doesn't have his realm walk because he used it earlier. And then they fail to dive before they can make it happen. So they don't get tower. Yeah, like so many of the execution plays coming out from G2 have actually been super bad this game. I'm trying to think what G2 could even do now. I don't know when Dragon spawns, because I can't remember when the first one was taken. It was here. This was at 13:56, so 18:56, right? So in 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, Dragon spawns. So they're not going to set up for it now. So we're probably just going to see farming for a little while. Like, in an ideal world, G2 want to play for bot tower. But they need to change up their lane assignments, I think, if they want to play for that. Mid tower is the other one they can consider. And the problem SKT have is that their siege isn't very good, so they can't really play for mid tower either. They're kind of just looking for picks right now. And look at Faker. Faker's like, I don't know why he's not passing. He literally has so much information. What's he doing? Is he trying to hide himself? I think the decision was changed to just, I won't bother going bot, I'll group mid instead. Then Khan comes down as well. I'm not sure why both teams are grouping right now though. This doesn't really make much sense. Like, this is why. This is what you should be doing. So Dragon spawn soon. So the problem G2 have is they can't really trade it for anything topside. because they can't generate enough pressure. And because Drake is spawning, obviously, on the bot side of the map, they also can't play for bot tower. So G2's best bet here, because they probably don't want to fight, they could consider it. They're not super weak. They could consider it. But I think like the best play is to just play for mid tower. TP's up for both. Wonder's pushing out top. They don't have a wave for ages. Mickey can face Jack, he's fine. They're TPing in. They can't find an engage, so they play for mid tower. Okay, cleared flashes because and G2 don't get much. The problem that they had was that they had no wave. So like the timing for G2 for SKT was really convenient. Because watch. So this wave arrives, right? But it gets melted, okay? So this wave's gone, and then look at the gap between the two next waves, and Dragon is up. So in this window, SKT, there's zero pressure mid. So they can just move in, take Drake. And then of course they don't clear it so fast that another wave doesn't spawn, right? But they have enough time that they can get in position to defend. And G2 don't commit to the play, they kind of split. So they don't trade it for mid tower. SKT just keep up trading in like all of these early skirmishes. Oh, okay, they still do get it. It just takes a little longer. Yup, and then wind wall. This could have actually been a really good fight for G2. But wind wall! So they have to reset. I'm pressing spacebar because I'm a moron. So one of the things I was thinking of, I said this in the cast, is because they have double mountain and they have Yasuo. I think that Yasuo can sneak Baron, but their actual Baron take is not like the strongest. I think Yasuo can be pretty good, and I think that they were fortunate that they had double mountain. But I don't think their Baron is the easiest. So they kind of like don't want to play for this objective. Like I will say, like what I see from this comp is like it's really hard to do anything. Even if it's not easy for G2 to do anything, it's like also really hard for SKT to do anything. So there's like a lot of like nothing happening. You know? Like a lot of these kills have just been G2 fucking up, if we're being really honest. G2 have just made a bunch of mistakes, like the delayed invade that got collapsed on, the fact that Caps didn't flash, the fact that Jankos didn't flash, the fact that Perks E'd into a wall where he then got kicked and body slammed, the fact that he was on vision and then he gets killed by Lee, like the dive. You can see like all of these kills from G2 have literally just been them like, yeah, okay, we fucked up, right? So like this comp from SKT, I think it's still really hard for them to actually do anything. They kind of need G2 to fuck up. And I think like once you get to really late game, as we said, this comp should just be stronger. So I like looking back, considering all the draft conversations we had, I do think that G2's comp is stronger because I think it's very difficult for this team to actually do anything. Like sure, you can look for like picks in the early game, but once you get to the mid game, what does this team do? Well, I suppose this. But then like now we have to look at Caps. Let's watch Caps. Let's look at it from his vision as well. His vision. So he doesn't see anyone. I think this was like super greedy pathing from Caps. Number one, right? Why is he even in the river? This is weak side of the map. Look, his jungler is here, his top lane is here. His top laner doesn't have teleport. Like, he doesn't have pressure in mid. Why is he here? Like, you don't get to be here. This isn't your half of the map. Do you see how Jankos is here? And he's like, whoa, look at me. This is my river. Hey, well, fun fact, that ain't yours. This does not belong to you. Let's toggle over to the other vision. Yeah, this belongs to them. This belongs to SKT. This is their half of the map. And I think he's thinking, well, I see LeBlanc bot. I know LeBlanc is bot. He does have his flash up, I'm pretty sure. Even though it's a spectator, he does have his flash up. Man, I just think this is like... I just think it's pretty disrespectful, I guess. Yes, he flashes out, but now he doesn't have flash. Mickey has to try... So, like, this play, I think, was actually fine. Because he's proccing Phase Rush. And the Phase Rush is actually, like, a fine thing to proc, because that's the only way you get out. The only way this could have been better is if the chain gets body blocked. Which it doesn't. I wonder if he hadn't E'd there. I wonder if he doesn't here. Because, like, he's literally on the edge. If he doesn't E, because the LeBlanc was taunt hit, he may have gotten out. But then, of course, he gets knocked up and slaughtered. And this is just an execution thing, I think. So, of course, the Ryze dies. They take quite a lot of poke damage from Perks. He kills Faker, which is good. And then they engage. And then Perks ease in. And then... So do you remember in the draft when I said, hey, what if you, like, dive onto this? And then I also said, their mobility can just have them dash out. And then they literally go, okay, you're going in, well, we're going out. And with him dead, they don't have any damage there. I don't think Wonder had TP the whole fight, so... Forcing this engage was also just, like, really bad as well. Yeah, G2 played pretty fucking terribly this game. Yeah. I should just stay with W? Oh, you mean peel for the Ezreal? Rather than use your ult? So Mickey's saying in chat that he should have considered peeling. So here, he just stays with his W. Because he has it up. So rather than go in, he just protects Perks. Because like he could have taunted... but like meanwhile, he's just like, no! Yeah, no, I feel you, Mickey. And then Wonder kills himself. And they don't get Baron. Because they can't, they're too low. Ryze also TP's back in. Caps is like, they've reset. I'm fine. Wait a minute. I'm really confident his thought process is they've reset. G2 still trade for mid tower, but This boy definitely not having a great game. I don't think his game 1 was super great either. I mean, like, it was fine. He did some, like, smart stuff and good stuff, but now G2 with numbers can just force this. I mean, they're going to wait to push out the waves, which is fine. Yeah, because they don't have prio over mid right now, so it's super fine. Whoa, shit, man. Whoa. Whoa. They really wanted him. They almost had him. G2 still have prio over mid. Makes it harder to do the Baron. Drake is up. Oh, no, I was going to solo it. That's pretty good. Yeah, forcing Faker back definitely makes taking Baron a lot harder. Obviously. Or evidently. Or whatever you want to say. Of course, they have double mountain themselves. And they know that Ryze just did Drake. Yeah. The only reason why they can do this is because they know Ryze has used his TP and because they just saw Drake die. So I think they start it the moment Drake dies, right? So look, they're not on it. Wait, how far back did we go? Wait, did they see Ryze bot? So now they're saying we can do it. Let's see what they see. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's actually Mickey's fault. And it helps that they were on Dragon because they saw them. But they got to catch a glimpse of him basing on the ward, and then they just counted to 8. Nice. I mean, this is the thing. It's not easy for their comp to just do Baron, because in a choke point, this comp is really strong. So, like, I think SKT have done a great job of not, like, that fight in mid could have been really bad. Of course, they out-execute against G2. But, like, that was another opportunity where things could have gone to disaster. But they time it well. Mickey wasn't there. There was nothing G2 could have done. Pardon me. It was a good play by SKT. Even with the Baron, though, their siege is still pretty poo-poo. They kind of want to split. I'd prefer it if they sent Yasuo in a side lane, but of course the risk of sending Yasuo in a side lane is it's then super easy for this lot to engage. So they kind of have to group. Look at how poo-poo their siege is. This is fine. What happens here? So they're getting some deep vision to set up onto these two towers. They've abandoned top wave, that's fine. Oh, Mickey looks for a bit of a pick. Oh, and then he does the thing where he flashes in to get the ward. Yeah, I saw this on Reddit. But as you can see, he didn't need to. His ulti was going to give him vision. See, his ult gives vision anyway. You can see how great my observing skills are. That was a good play from SKT though. Now they have numbers. It's still not easy for them to siege. They have to divide and conquer. Yeah, I think it's at a point now, though, where, like, even if G2 find a fight, I mean, they could, in theory, still win. Of all the inhibs to get, the mid one isn't really the best one. Not against G2's comp either, because Ryze can solo clear it all. So SKT will now go do Drake. Which is fine. They kind of need to wait for the next Baron, I think. Which would be G2's best opportunity to come back into the game. Oh, this is the Elder Trait game though, isn't it? Oh yeah, and this is where Caps dies. Yeah. Oops. Another mistake. I feel bad for Wonder, dude. The dude has been like... he can't play the game because he's playing against the Yasuo. He did like really well in the 1v1. And then every fight he shows up to, literally everyone is already dead before he gets there. Wonder's just like, what the fuck? Team, please. Now Baron's alive and 2 people are dead, so SKT get another free Baron, I guess. Yeah, I think G2 have played like super bad this game. I think there was a lot more agency on SKT to have to do things to win. I think G2 would just eventually outscale. If the game was in an even state in the mid game, I think this game could have been very different. I need to slow this down. Alright, let's watch everything here. Okay, so they go for the dive onto Teddy, which is fine. He almost kills Yankos. But this kind of shows you how much damage this comp actually has. And how they can play like front to back. Like, the team fight power of G2's comp is actually very strong. What's Clid doing? Clid's like, I'm just gonna end the game. I really think he should have just flanked. I really think he should have just flanked. I really think he should have just flanked. Said he played that about as well as he could. I really don't know why Clint didn't just flank. He could have just kicked Ryze in, or he could have kicked Ezreal in. He could have changed the fight. So like, their Baron effectively got wasted though, so the game stalls out even longer, and G2 only gets stronger. The gold gap definitely means less because of the Ornn items. I think each Ornn item is like worth 1,000 gold or something. I mean, it doesn't quite close the gap. There's still a level difference. So this is what SKT see right now. I know I said in the cast that there was a level difference, but it actually made no fucking difference. Yep. Jankos just missed his smite. See? Wait, we'll slow it down. So, Q, alt, 500 damage. Jankos just misses his smite. And he kicks Ryze back. Oh my god, Clit is so good. Yeah, there's no way they win this. So much talent. Yep. Can you not? Wait, I thought you could smite during knockouts. Can you? Are you sure? Are you sure that you can't smite during knockouts? You can smite while being knocked up. Of course you can. Yeah, what are you talking about? Silence is the only thing that you can't... Silence is the only thing that you can't smite. Anyway, I think that was a horrendous game from G2. Actually awful. They played the other game so bad. And I think that they made it super easy for SKT to win. So, Suppression is the other one, yeah. So yeah, I thought G2 played that really poorly. I think SKT made it difficult for themselves. Like, in hindsight, I think that the draft was harder for them to execute. Even if they had early advantages, once they reached the mid-game, it was very difficult for them to do anything. So, yeah, that does it for VOD Review 2. We're jumping into Game 3 after a short break. You just tune into the next video and the break will be done like that. See you in the next one.